Okay, this is a video over the elimination method. These steps you can see down there at the bottom, at the top of the screen. Please get them written down. If you don't have them written down, I will be referencing them from time to time throughout this video. If you don't have them, pause it, get them written down, and then we're going to pick it up. Alright, example number 1. Solve 9x plus y equals 2, negative 4x minus y equals negative 17. The first step says multiply one or both equations so that one of the variables has the same coefficient. We don't have to do that because these two y's have the same coefficient. They are both 1's. Okay, so we don't need to do any multiplying of any equations for step 1. We can kind of skip step 1. Step number 2 says add or subtract the equations. If they have the same sign, subtract. Different signs, we're going to add. These two variables have different signs. One's positive, the top one's positive, the bottom one is negative. They are different signs. So we're going to do step 2. We are going to, different signs says add the equations. So add straight down. 9x plus negative 4x leaves me with 5x. Positive y plus negative y. 1 plus negative 1 is 0y. It cancels out. It is eliminated. That's why it's called the elimination method. And 2 plus negative 17 is negative 15. Okay, there's step 2. Step 3, solve the resulting equation. Well, this is pretty easy now. This is a one-step equation. All we need to do is divide both sides by 5. 5x divided by 5 leaves me with 1x. Negative 15 divided by 5 is negative 3. Halfway home. Step 4, substitute the answer from step 3 into any of the original equations and solve for the second variable. Well, we only used 2 of the original equations, so we can choose to put x either there, let me erase that, there or there. Doesn't matter. I usually pick the equation that's got smaller variables. I also like positive ones, so I'm actually going to use the top equation. Okay, so 9 times my x value, which is negative 3, plus y is equal to 2. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27, plus y is equal to 2. And then that's just a one-step equation from there. Add 27 to both sides, plus 27. 2 plus 27 leaves me with 29. So then my final answer, and I'll write this down here in black, is negative 329. That is your final answer. Let's try another one. Number 2, negative x plus y equals 4. X plus 3y equals 4. Again, we don't need to do step 1 because we have the same coefficient in front of those x values. It doesn't always have to be y that's the same. It could be either x or y. So we go straight to step number 2. They have different signs. So if we go back to the steps, different signs means we're going to add again. Okay, so let's go back to the problem. We're going to add the two equations. Negative x plus positive x is 0. Positive y plus 3y gives me 4y. 4 plus 4, that would be, let me get that a better equal sign, that would be 8. Okay, there's step 2. Step 3 was to solve the resulting equation. Gives us a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 4, y is equal to 2. Step 4, substitute into one of the original equations and solve for the remaining variable. I'm actually going to use this y because this x is positive. I don't need to do any dividing by a negative 1 when I'm done. I just need to multiply and subtract. Okay, so we'll have x plus 3 times my y value, which is 2, equals 4. 3 times 2 is 6. Oops, let me reset that there. Plus 6 equals 4. Subtract 6 from both sides. That means x is equal to negative 2. So my final answer then, negative 2 for my x, positive 2 for my y's. Moving on. Problem number 3. 8x minus 5y equals 11. 4x minus 3y equals 5. Again, if at any time you need to pause the video to get things written down or go rewatch something, please do that. I'm going to keep moving because you do have the option to rewind and pause. This time we don't have one of the coefficients the same already, so we do actually have to do step 1. It doesn't matter which variable you want to have the same coefficient, that's the number in front of the variable, you just need to decide. I'm going to choose the numbers in front of x, just because that's what I want to do. Okay, does that mean you have to do that? Absolutely not. But if I count by 8s and I count by 4s for the numbers in front of x, the first number they have in common is 8. Okay, so that means this doesn't have to change. This is times 1. 4 times 2 would give me 8, so I'm going to multiply the entire second equation by 8. And when I say the entire second equation, I mean the entire second equation. The first one is being multiplied by 1, so it's not going to change. 8x minus 5y equals 11. Second equation, multiply everything by 2. 4x times 2 is 8x, negative 3y times 2 is negative 6y, and 5 times 2 is 10. We have to multiply all parts of the equation by whatever you decided. Okay, so now we can go on to step number 2, add or subtract the equations. This time, the x values have the same coefficient, and the signs are the same. If they have the same signs, let's go back to the steps. Same signs mean subtract. Whoops, I just crossed it out. Subtract. Okay, so when we go back to our problem, we have the same signs, so we're going to subtract the two equations. 8x minus 8x is 0x. Negative 5y minus negative 6y. Now be very careful with your signs here. Negative 5 minus negative 6 is actually positive 1y. 11 minus 10 is 1. We don't actually have to do step 3 because we don't have to divide anything in front of that y. Our coefficient is already 1. So step 3 is actually done for us. It's right here, which means we can jump into step 4. Now with step 4, we have several y's sitting out here that we can substitute the 1 in. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Just choose, well, what I do, I like the ones with smaller numbers. So for me, that's going to be that one. Okay, so we're going to have 4x minus 3 times my y value, which is, whoops, I just put a y there. Y value is 1, and that's equal to 5. Multiply 4x, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, equals 5. Two-step equation now. Add 3, so 4x is equal to 8. Divide by 4, that means x is equal to 2. So then my final answer is 2, 1. Alright, last one. 12x minus 7y equals 2. 8x plus 11y equals 30. Again, none of my variables are the same, so I need to decide which one I want to use. I could use y's, but those numbers are going to be rather large. 7 and 11 don't have a lot of common multiples. If I count by 7 and count by 11s, the first number that I come across that they have in common would be 77. Could I use 77? Sure, but those are big numbers. I don't really want to use them. 12 and 8, those are a little more workable. If I count by 12s and count by 8s, the first number they have in common is 24. So that means I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2 to get the x's to be 24. And I'm going to multiply the second equation by 3, because then 8 times 3 is also 24. Okay, so we'll have multiply the first equation by 2, so that gives me 24x minus 14y equals negative 4, multiplying everything by 2. Second equation, we're multiplying everything by 3. So 8x times 3 is 24x, 11y times 3 is positive 33y, and 30 times 3 is 90. Step number 2, add or subtract. Again, 24s are what we're looking at because they have the same number. They also have the same signs. They're both positive. So if we have the same sign, we're going to subtract. Okay, so 24 minus 24 is 0x. Negative 14 minus 33 leaves me with negative 47y. Negative 4 plus 90 is, or sorry, negative 4 minus 90 is negative 94. Now, if we have step 3 here, divide both sides by negative 47, 94 and 47 are actually very good numbers to have together because negative 94 divided by negative 47 is 2. Okay, now we can go to step 4, where we substitute the y value into any of the original equations. We could put y there, we could put y there, we could put y there, or y there. None of these equations have very small numbers, so I'm just going to use what I think is the smallest of all of those equations. So I'm going to use that upper left one. So we know y value, so we got to leave x. 12x minus 7 times our y value, which is now 2, equals negative 2. So 12x, negative 7 times 2 is negative 14, equals negative 2. we're going to add 14 to both sides, so 12x is equal to negative 2 plus 14 is positive 12. Makes it very easy. X is equal to 1. So then my final answer, 1, 2.